How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to Tsipolitics. We are currently recording just after the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I'm joined by my two main co-hosts, my brother, Alex Sippis, and my good friend, Alex Bauer. Alex Bauer, Alex Sippis, how are you guys?
Fantastic.
Not bad. Not bad. That was terrible, what we just watched. I wish I was watching playoff baseball. I'm kind of glad that I watched it, but
Yeah, sorry about the Red Sox.
they've been dead to me for a while.
Just like this election. Okay, so here's how quickly we need to jump into it. I don't even have any Alex Bauer tweets to read out just because I didn't have time. I had a migraine 20 minutes into this. So here's what I want to do. We're going to get to a live caller in a second who's in the waiting room, politely muted. But first, we're just going to say the first thing that came to mind when Chris Wallace said goodnight. I'll start. And it was, what the fuck was the point of that? Alex Bauer, what was yours?
Pretty much the same line, just like, what the hell did I just watch?
Xander, what was yours?
That was the most useless crap I've ever watched in my entire life. I'm not going to say, I don't think anyone won that debate.
We all lost.
We all lost.
All right, let's bring in a live caller right now. Scruffy, you're on Tsipolitics. Scruffy, what were your thoughts? What was your first thought when the debate ended?
My first thought was have you ever seen at a dog park how when there's one dog that really wants to fight or hump or just is super aggressive, and there's another dog that's just super docile? That's what it looked like to me. And I was a little disappointed in Biden. I wanted him to be stronger. I wanted him to be more firm and disavow. I thought Chris Wallace was horrible and set it up for Trump to first punch and always.
Scruffy, I hate to interrupt, but it seemed like that this debate really wanted to make you hit the natty ices. How many natty ice did you hit?
Not natty ices, natty lights. I'm on my fifth right now, so I'm gonna ramble. But
well, we don't have time. I don't know if we have time. If we wanted to listen to rambling, we would listen to the presidential debate. How about that?
Well, one half of the presidential debate, I thought Joe didn't do horribly, but I thought Trump was on a comical amount of cocaine.
Kind of building off that, where Biden kind of came off as a little weak. One thing I would have loved when Trump is bashing his family and being he got paid this, he got paid this. Just a quick little, you want to talk about your Stormy Daniels payment? Just one of those at one point in there would have been fantastic. And or bring up the fact that he probably has given Ivanka $26 million based on what that New York Times stuff's saying, because he's classifying a consulting fee as a payment to Ivanka. A lot of low-hanging fruit for Joe that I think a guy like Yang or Beto or a Buttigieg or anyone who's a little bit maybe quicker in the head would have been able to pounce on.
Warren.
I like her. She's my neighbor. I think she would have gotten trounced. As a Cambridge as a Cambridge resident, I do think she would have gotten trounced. And I think that his entire base would have been Pocahontas, Pocahontas, Pocahontas the whole entire time. And they just wouldn't have stopped thinking about that. So I don't think she would have done great. I like her. But I think someone a little bit younger and quicker would have really just shut him the fuck up.
Well, here's what I kind of realized, and I definitely realized this when they were talking about COVID-19 and that came up. I think any other year, you would look at that and say, how am I going to try to break this down? How will this swing the election? Would there be a better candidate? Yada, yada, yada. But this is 2020 we're talking about. And so it's at a point right now where I'm just like, it doesn't matter who the hell is on that stage for the DNC. Trump would have done the same thing. And even if you had someone who was going at that low hanging fruit, what difference would it make right now? I mean, seriously, who is on the fence right now, just in general? But like, who's on the fence who watched that debate and said, you know what? I think that definitely swayed my vote. If like whatever, if that person exists, then they're stupid. Like, I'm sorry. If you were on the fence and you watched that debate and you said, you know what, I think I'm going to vote for Donald Trump now, or if you say, you know what, I think I'm going to vote for Biden now, I'm going to ask you, one, how is that making you do that? And two, how'd you get here in the first place and not knowing?
Funny enough, they wrote an Onion article about that.
Do they actually?
That I saw. Yeah.
I hate accidentally stealing stuff from the Onion. Bauer, what were some what were your? I don't want to say highlights because it was all terrible, but I also don't want to say lowlights because like I'm trying to have some faith. What were some moments that you would like to break down?
Well, not necessarily a specific moment, but I think the most important thing Biden could have done is not attack back. Because look what you saw Trump do, attacking Chris Wallace, attacking Biden, and just how angry and just not presidential he looks. And I think someone who would have taken that bait, that Trump bait, and just fought back, it just looks like two people bickering, which it did. But I feel like there are moments where Biden just kind of like sat and listened to Trump's remarks and like looked at the camera or addressed the nation head on. And I thought that was as best you can do with what you got on stage.
All right, we have a raised hand from Scruffy. Scruffy, do you got anything to say?
Yeah, Alex, I appreciate your comment, but can we cut it with the presidential, like looking presidential, seeming presidential bullshit? Because we saw the same thing 4 years ago. I think his base really, well, besides the fact that he's racist and they like that, they appreciate the fact that he keeps it like talks straight and shit, and it's just being presidential just means nothing now, and it's all about it's just there's no substance there.
I'm talking about the people who are in the middle, the people who are
Going in the middle. Like, come on. Like, you picked a side.
You don't know that.
Talking about the middle, Joe Biden's the middle. Joe Biden's the most conservative Democratic or moderate Democratic candidate since fucking Clinton. Not Hillary, since Bill.
What so?
No, but I'm just like, saying, like,
who cares if he's a conservative Democrat? Did you see that monster Trump on stage?
Yeah, no, I
you know what I mean? Like,
you,
who cares? Like we're petty with the labeling. Who's a little conservative, little not. It's literally two people we have to vote for. Sadly, I wish there was more people. You know, I wish it wasn't just a two-party system. Absolutely.
Right. I'm going to pause it right here. We have a live caller on the air. Tim, hello. You're on Tsipolitics.
Yeah. So, for those of you that don't know me, I know Alex from college.
Alex Sippis. Really confusing. We have two Alexes. My apologies, Tim.
I call him Sippy if that's easier for people.
Even better. Even better.
But he told me to come on. I'll be honest. I definitely lean right. I would consider myself one of those more middle people. But definitely lean right, planning on voting for Trump at this point. But I will say, going back to, I don't know all of your names, but the other Alex, I think you were saying, and you guys brought up the racism thing. I'll be honest, like, Trump was they served up the white supremacist thing on a tee for him, and he completely whiffed on that. Like, all he had to say, literally, like, I know a lot of people, like you're saying, and Sip, you brought it up, like, a lot of people are dug in, right? Like, what the next three debates bring up, it doesn't matter at all. People already know who they're voting for. They couldn't care less what their candidate says. But, like, for those that small amount that is somewhat in the middle, like, all he had to do right there was just be like, you know what, like, the white supremacists, I completely condemn them, because you guys will probably get mad at me for bringing this up. He did say that in the Charlotte thing, right? If you watch the full clip, like he did say the white supremacists, the KKK, like they should be condemned, go to hell, whatever. That kind of gets lost when they quote the tweets. But I mean, the right side does that to leftist tweets too. So I'm not going to fault people for doing that.
Do you think that it's not necessarily about the literally him saying like I condemn white supremacies, but it's just maybe just one time, like kind of like
it was
going
like,
against what he normally says and stuff like that? I think that's why a lot of people are frustrated too.
yeah, it was
Because
just
he
like
can never admit that he's wrong or anything.
right. But yeah, it was right there. It was an alley-oop. Like all he had to do was say like, hey, you know, like, yeah, you're right. Those people are terrible. I'm not with them. I'm against the rioting. I'm against all this other stuff. But at the same time, I'm also against racism. Like, I don't think that was that hard to say. And he whiffed on that. And I don't think, I don't believe that he's fundamentally a racist, right? Like, I don't think he is.
I agree with you on that.
But-
I think the
But
things
at
he
the same
says
time,
are
like, yeah. And my argument for that is like, before he ran for office, you never heard that Donald Trump was a racist, right? It was just when he ran for office, they pushed all this stuff. But at the same time, you know, like that was an easy step for him to say, hey, I'm not, and he didn't do it. So
All right.
as a
Thank you.
Trump supporter, it was like, well, here, I'll draw a parallel for you because I'm a Philadelphia sports fan too. It was like, Jesus Christ. So like watching the Eagles every week, you expect them to do something good and they just don't. Bad things happen in Philadelphia. That was his quote of the night, and that was the truest thing he said. Bad things happen in Philadelphia. The Phillies finished 1-7. The Eagles are 0-3. The Sixers got swept, and the Flyers didn't do jack shit.
But Tim, you're forgetting about the Philadelphia Union. How are they doing?
I couldn't care less. It doesn't matter. They could win every championship for the next 10 years, and it's not going to make up for what happened in 2020 with every other Philadelphia sports team.
You have just ignited an angry, scruffy Max Cohen, who honestly, like my buddy Tim, I don't think we've ever met before. It's very nice to meet you. I've heard very nice things. My buddy Max over here, very left, but the best way to enrage him is to trash soccer. He loves soccer.
I actually
Bitch,
enjoy
it's
watching
called
soccer.
football.
Do you see what I mean, Tim? Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I got to deal with on a daily basis here?
I actually do enjoy watching football. I just don't follow.
call it soccer, Tim. We're in fucking America. God
Yeah, come
damn
on,
it.
Tim. USA.
Oh, 100%. I call it soccer, but I'm just trying to appease the crowd here.
Tim, I'm so sorry my brother dragged you into this.
Hey, he shot me a text. He said, "Come talk." So
Can I
Max,
just shout
Hey,
out
this-
my Spurs real quick for beating Chelsea in Carabao Cup?
No,
go for it. I don't know what that means. But
Beat
you
'em.
go for it.
Mute them.
no one gives a shit about the Carabao Cup.
And no one gives a shit about Tottenham either.
Oh, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight.
Hey, Pete, you want to be a little less like Chris Wallace and actually be a good moderator here?
I don't know. I kind of want to watch an Arsenal versus little Tottenham scuffle go on right now. It can't be any worse than me. Fine. We'll yeah, Max has a scarf up. Okay, guys, can we please stay on topic?
Okay, wait,
Sure.
but all right. So, Sippy, you brought that up. You say you don't think Chris Wallace was a good
No,
moderator.
I thought
don't
he
think
did
was
okay.
either.
I thought he did okay.
If you were going to say he was leaning one way or the other, which way do you think he was leaning?
If he was leaning, so I mean, knowing his background, he definitely leans right, but he does not enjoy Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
he's not
just want to make sure we were somewhat on the same page.
Yeah,
So,
no, I
like,
mean he
it
doesn't. He
kinda-
doesn't like Trump. Well, I don't think he has a bias against Trump. I think that Trump says stupid
Trump
and
dug-
inaccurate
dug
shit,
himself
and
along the holes. Yeah, like he
yeah,
dug
and he just
himself
doesn't
along
take
the
it. So
holes,
I mean, you could see that.
He's
I
a
don't know.
fucking Fox News host.
Oh, I know.
Thank
Look,
you, Max, for
I'll
that
sit
quality
here and
He's
tell you
a
insight.
that
Fox News host.
I'll sit here and tell you that Fox News is right, but at the same time, like CNN and everyone else is pretty far left. You're not going to get neutral news anymore. That's just how
Well,
it is.
here's the thing: is that like I don't. It's very
AP.
hard to get a very neutral
Right.
moderator. But my problem with Chris Wallace is that I've seen some of his programs before. I felt like he was treating it too much like that interview he had on the White House lawn or any one of his programs. Whereas like I feel like when you're a moderator, like you actually have to treat them like children and just talk down to them and tell them to shut up. I mean, I'm trying to moderate this and I have the power to mute. I can mute you, Tim, and now we're going to unmute you again. How about that? I was just ridiculed for my moderating. because I let this turn into a soccer discussion. But honestly, I don't think that's bad as Chris Wallace, who went from freaking what are we going to do about the Supreme Court to, oh, I guess we're on healthcare and the economy and pre-existing conditions. And 20 minutes in, I'm trying to take notes. And I'm like, I don't know how I got here. I have a headache. I don't like this.
I will
Someone
say,
make them stop.
As a conservative who, you can have your own opinions about the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, they're constitutionally justified in pushing someone through. But I was kind of mad that he didn't hold Biden to an answer on whether he would pack the court or not, right? Because at the same time, Biden is constitutionally allowed to do that as well. But it would have been when he said, "Are you going to do it?" and Biden just completely refused to answer the question, went off topic. It would have been nice to have him come back and say, "All right, here's the original question. Say simple yes or no. Will you give us a yes or no?" One way or the other, right? Like at the end of the day, even if he had said yes, technically we all have to accept that. It's not illegal for him to do that. Just people would disagree with it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Just like right now with Trump pushing through.
right, like if
he's
pushed,
allowed to technically
he's allowed
do it, but
do it. It's just
it doesn't
whether it's
look good
morally
when-
correct or not.
when 4 years ago,
The
this
problem
exact
is the
situation
problem
happened.
isn't that he's doing it. The problem is McConnell and the Senate, who all said in 2016 that we can't do this, and now they're doing it. That's the problem. It's not Trump. Trump's fine. Yeah, he can. He's
Right.
able to do
Right,
this.
and
But-
I do
So-
agree
so-
with
So
that
the
it's
issue is not the nomination. The issue is McConnell letting the vote happen, because that's exactly the opposite of what he wanted to do.
Agreed. And I think the problem also, it's not that he wants to do the vote, it's that the entire Republican Senate, instead of just saying,
Hypocrites.
no, we're just going to fucking block them, because you know what? We can. They
Mindless
went on
hypocrites.
this road to back them up in 16 and said, well, we're just not going to do it because X, Y, and Z. And now X, Y, and Z is happening again. So had they in 2016 just said, we don't have to fucking confirm them. Nope, we're not going to do it. I think
I feel
been
so
a
bad for Merrick Garland.
I said that Trump should have just nominated Merrick Garland and seen what the left did.
That would have been
That
interesting.
would have 100% would have
interesting.
forced the hand. It would have been like, are we going to just deny it to deny it, or are we going to
Right.
hold a
That
real
would have been
thing?
interesting.
A
probably-
little partisan paradox.
Right.
But Trump's not.
And that's why I was saying, like, not to get too deep in the weeds, but like if we go to 2024, regardless of what happens here, like if the Republicans were to nominate like a black woman, like a Candace Owens or something as their nominee. Right. I see that because you disagree with her politics, and that's fine. You disagree with what she's saying, but pretty much all the ammo they have is that, oh, he's a racist, oh, he's sexist, whatever. Like if you take all those bullets out of the gun, what do they have left? I just think
policy.
yeah.
So,
Like let's make just one election about actual policy. Let's talk about politics one time.
so one thing I was a little disappointed with because the Supreme Court conversation right off the bat just went off the rails. Like
Right.
they didn't get to Roe v. Wade, and I kind of wanted them to talk about Roe v. Wade and be like, hey, like, do you want the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade? And I want to have that discussion because I believe that they should not overturn Roe v. Wade. I think it's very important, and I'm horrified if it does get overturned. But like, that's just me. I feel like the people watching the debate should deserve to have that conversation and not something about pre-existing conditions.
Here's an opinion that might give you a heart attack on the spot. I'm a conservative Catholic that's pro-choice.
Oh my! Whoa!
Choice.
I am. So it's one of those issues that, it doesn't necessarily directly affect me. I don't really know enough about it, but I also realize that I'm not the one being directly affected by that situation. So it's probably not my choice to make.
Yep.
Which, since I can realize it's not my choice to make, it's someone else's choice to make. So go ahead, make your choice. Like
Tim
Yeah.
Mad respect.
Tim
Mad
Edwards has blown scruffy Max Cohen's mind.
And if you want, here's another one that'll probably blow your mind. Tommy Lahren pro-choice too.
No
Yes.
way.
Look
Well,
it up.
probably because she's had some.
Jesus. Muted.
Yeah, that was her biggest thing. It was, I don't know if it was Good Morning America. She was on some talk show and she said, hey, because that's why she was taken off Fox News. right? Like that's why she used to be a Fox commentator and she's not anymore. She got kicked off of it because she said that and it didn't fit what they wanted to do. She said, look, I'm pro-choice. Don't touch my body. Don't touch my guns. Like that was her whole platform.
I mean,
you can
it's
look that up.
consistent.
She's on record saying that.
I believe that it's consistent. And that's definitely one thing where I do have respect for, even though that I'm for gun control and I'm pro-choice, but like one thing that annoys me is hypocrisy. And so one thing I respect on both sides of the political spectrum is people who aren't hypocrites. If you're saying like, I don't want the government to touch my guns, I don't want them to touch my body, I'm like, you know what? Fine. That's fine. We disagree, but you know what? Like you're consistent. What annoys me is when you have people who say like, yeah, I don't want the government telling me what I can and can't do. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Like that's your political viewing. But then they say, but I'm pro-life, like not against abortion. I'm against gay marriage. And I'm just like, well, hang on a second. That's not very consistent. And the I think the biggest hypocrisy is, Tim, I know you brought up you're Catholic, and I'm not religious, but I do find it very hypocritical when religious Christianity groups come out and support candidates, and these candidates say like, yeah, like we need to overturn Roe v. Wade and like abortion should be illegal and all that. And I think to myself, well, how is that any different from the policies that we condemn in Middle Eastern countries whose governments implement laws based on very extreme sects of Islam? And I need to make that extreme part very clear, because like a lot of these laws that you see in some of these countries like Iran are not based off of like true Islam, just like how some like basically anti-abortion isn't like a Christian law. There's just some Christians who believe that.
Right.
Yeah. And so I just find that very ironic, where it's, well, wait a second, you're condemning these, say like in Iran or a Middle Eastern country for suppressing their people on laws based off their religion, but then you're supporting the same thing in your own country because what you think is right. And that's one that might be a top 3 pet peeve.
Well,
for
I
me
get
in America.
very annoyed in general.
Ironic is a really
Mute him, Pete.
No, he's good. He's good. Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
ironic is a really interesting word for that.
Muted. Tim,
I
continue.
thought you were going to follow it up with something there, but
Nope, that's Max for you.
So I personally get annoyed in general when religious groups, or I don't get annoyed when religious groups endorse a candidate. That's their choice to do that. But I get annoyed when candidates kind of, like if you're running on that, like, oh, I'm endorsed by this and that political or religious group. It's like, well, like government and religion are supposedly supposed to be 2 separate things. Like, yeah, our Constitution, everything like says like a nation under God and whatever. And when it was founded, but that's because back then that everybody was kind of on the same page, right? Like when we founded this country, pretty much everyone here, I mean, there was probably a small amount of Jewish people, but it was mainly Protestant, Catholic, and whatever else. And that's what was found. But like, that's not what it is anymore. So it's not, I don't think we should be passing laws based on religion in general.
What's your thought on this, Tim? Do you think that regardless of the outcome of this election, that they're not necessarily a 50-50 split, but do you think that there's going to be a large proportion of Republicans? Like, I mean, I was a registered Republican until like a year ago. Are there going to be people like me that are just like, I don't want to associate myself at all with Trump, and you're going to have 10% of the Republican base just kind of leave? Like, you see the people at the Lincoln Project.
You're already seeing that.
Right.
I mean,
so like, what do you think?
But I don't think so, because like you said, regardless of the outcome of this election. So in your opinion, best case scenario, Trump loses, right? Republican Party, we're like, all right, we move on from Trump. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, Trump's not my first pick of the Republicans that I would have liked to put up there, but he's what we have. So, I think then you're just like, all right, it's kind of like a reset button. But at the same time, even if he wins 4 years from now, Trump's not up for re-election.
Do you think though that there'll be especially if he wins, do you think that the Republican Party will try to nominate someone with, you can call them extreme views like him, or non-traditional views like him, or do you think they revert back to a more centrist person to kind of get their party back to closer to the center, like a Romney or a whoever?
I would certainly hope they would go back to a more centrist person like a Marco Rubio or something like that. But I mean, they're going to have to do what competes, right? Like at the end of the day, you're sports fans. You put the team on the field that's going to win, right? So like, then that's essentially like I agree that Biden would be a relatively middle candidate compared to some of the other people that the Democratic Party put up. But then they pair him with like a Kamala Harris who leans pretty far left. I don't think any of us can argue that. And then he's not, I don't think like how I said Trump whiffed on the white supremacy thing, Biden right after kind of whiffed on the ability to condemn the riots and everything like that too. And I don't think that he necessarily thinks they're a good thing, but he's not going to come out and condemn it because at the end of the day, there's a significant portion of his voter base that agrees with that stuff. And it's shitty that we've gotten to that point, but at the end of the day, you have to, if they're going to go really far left, you kind of have to go really far right and force the people in the middle to pick a side.
The most depressing thing I take away from all this is people's blind faith in like, oh, he's a Republican, I got to vote for him. He's a Democrat, I got to vote for him or her. And it's just like we should be looking at these people, as candidates, and not just what party they represent. And I feel like, not saying any review, but just generally speaking to what I've seen through social media and the news, I just think people put their trust in these big,
right, red or blue.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like
the line's drawn and people have to pick a side. I agree. Like
let's look at these.
I would like to I would like to think that I looked at the issues in the politics myself and I made an educated decision. And I feel that I have like the issues that matter to me the most. I've looked at them and that's why I want to go one way versus the other. Do I agree with everything that Trump says? No, I don't. I just told you guys that I'm pro-choice and he wants to repeal Roe versus Wade. But at the end of the day, Biden and the Democratic Party, they're running on a lot of things that I disagree with as well. So when you weigh the pros and the cons, I fall right. There are other people like me that weigh the pros and the cons that fall left.
Which is fair.
Right. But like you said, I know a lot of people that are voting Trump solely because he's a Republican.
Right.
And I hear them, like, they're making their arguments by basically quoting Ben Shapiro and stuff. And it's like, all right, Ben Shapiro makes a lot of good points, but he also makes really a lot of bad points too. And like they're just blindly following whatever he says and Trump and whatever. But at the same time, you have the same stuff on the left, like people just blindly ignoring some of the things that are going on in this country and saying, oh, I'm going Democrat because Trump's a racist or whatever. And it's like, well, you can make an argument that Trump's a racist. You can make an argument that he's not. But just blindly saying that he is a racist because he wants secure borders or whatever. It's like basically what you said is done. It's a moot point on either side. They're just blindly going left or right.
Tim, I'm gonna get to the immigration thing in a second, but I'm gonna get Maxon on here real quick. Max, what you want to say?
Just for the point of view of someone who's voting down ballot all Democrat, I do think that there is a distinct difference between the Democrat and Republican Party, and that I rely on the Democrats because as someone who is non-binary and pansexual, like I rely on the government to maintain my ability to marry whomever I want. And as someone who has just a laundry list of mental illnesses, like I'm going to be on a lot of medication for the rest of my life and a lot of doing therapy and psychiatry for the rest of my life. Like it is incredibly, incredibly important to me to vote all Democrat.
So there are a lot of things that Max just said that I personally disagree. Not like having rights and doing it, like do whatever you want, man. You should be allowed to do whatever you want, marry whoever you want, in my opinion. But like I think some of the policies or what you said is false. But at the end of the day, he just gave me a laundry list of reasons that he's voting for Biden. right? So like I can at least respect the decision. Like I was like, all right, he thought through it. He thought through the issues. This is why he's voting who he's voting for. I feel like there are a lot of people on both sides that couldn't do that.
All right, we actually have another live caller on the air. Jacob, hello, you're on Sip Talk.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jacob. How are you? What did you think of the debate?
Honestly, I'm at a loss for words. Like I really don't know what to say about it.
What would you say some of your highlights were, if you could define them as highlights?
Biden couldn't get a word in because Trump talked over him the entire time. Biden called Trump a clown twice. And in my opinion, not one person changed their opinion on who they're going to vote for because it was a waste of an hour and a half.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I left that going. What was the point of that? Yeah, I thought it was a huge waste, an hour and a half, and I don't know who could have possibly been on the fence now. But if there were people, I don't know how their vote could have been swayed by this.
I legitimately want to know from somebody who plans to vote for Trump. So probably not any of you.
Tim's voting for Trump.
Okay. I would like to know what you took away from that was like, wow, that's a great choice.
Well, like Trump being the nominee, or
just from his debate performance, just on that.
Oh no, he did.
Just like, okay,
if I was his debate coach and we went into the next one, I'd be like, hey, can you, when Biden's talking, just shut the hell up for the first, give him a minute, right? Like they're asking for 2 minutes, just shut up for a minute and let him talk and make it at least look like you tried. Like it was annoying because, and there are times that like Biden, he'll struggle to speak or he'll fumble with what he's saying. And it's like, there were times that he was like getting to that point and Trump almost cut him off and stopped him from doing it. And it was like, dude, that's what the entire party's running platform has been, that Biden isn't capable of doing it. So if that's what you believe, then let him self-destruct. Don't interrupt him. But he spent the whole time interrupting him. And then like we were saying, no one's opinion changed anything because you can't even hear what they're saying for 90% of the debate.
I'll say this. Sorry to interrupt you, Bauer.
Okay.
Looking back at it, at just like what I have done with this podcast in the last God knows how many months. The idea of what was the point of that was a waste of an hour to an hour and a half. Why did I listen to it? You know what? I don't think I can actually say that because I feel like I've been doing that since April, and I feel like I'm doing it right now. I honestly don't know what's gonna be done out of this. I just wanted to record a podcast this week. But Bauer, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna follow up and ask, like, do you think it could be possible that he was coached and he's just incapable of following the coaching?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, Trump's gonna Trump. Like at the end of the day, like it.
Right.
I mean, even the moderator was like, "Hey, can I ask the question?" And he just kept talking. It was like, "Dude, just shut up." But
so why is someone who's incapable of listening a good fit for president?
Because I don't think he's incapable of listening. I think he needs to put on a show.
He clearly is if he's being
No. But hear me out. I think when the cameras are on, he has to put on a show, right? Like that's who he is. And at the end of the day, I'm not voting for a president that can debate well. I'm voting for a president that is going to get the stuff that I want to see done, get done. And in my opinion, over the last 3.5 years or whatever it's been, like a lot of the things that he ran on and said he was going to do that appealed to me, he has done. So.
Okay, fair.
Can you give some examples?
Yeah.
So I do think, I mean, the economy's up for debate. People say, oh, it was a continuation of the Obama boom. But at the end of the day, okay, so I'll give you some background about me. I work for Vanguard, which is, if you don't know what that is, I do software engineering, basically artificial intelligence for them, but it's the second largest investment firm in the world behind BlackRock.
I got some money in Vanguard. I see you.
Yeah. So you can see significant spikes in economic success in terms of the stock market when Trump does good things. So whether you want to say the beginning was the continuation of the Obama rise or whatever, you can see a significant spike in performance after Trump was elected. And then when he does positive things and it's like, oh, publicity is swinging his way, there's a better chance he might get reelected. You see more spikes like that.
When he does positive things, what does that mean? Like what positive?
So
things?
I'll give you a recent example. I'll say we, because I really doubt that Trump alone walked into the Middle East and said, hey, we're going to get all three of these guys together. But at the end of the day, it was done under his administration when he brokered that peace deal and they made that public. If you look at the spike that the stock market took on the Monday, like I think it was 2 weeks ago or whenever that came out, there were companies that jumped like 15% in the first hour and a half of trading that had been down for the last 3 months because it's like, oh, the world might actually be becoming a better place or whatever.
But that's the
stuff like that. I personally am one for secure borders. So seeing, stricter immigration laws, whether, the border wall, I don't think the wall is the best way to keep people out of a country, but it's an attempt. So just stuff like that.
Well, Tim, I actually wanted to ask you about that because I'm someone like I'm poli-sci, international relations, and I'm really big on migration policy. And so that's another thing I wanted to ask about because I think that's where I probably would definitely differ a lot from your views. I'm someone that no one really, there might be some people who believe in wide open borders, but for the most part, that's not a general consensus. What people want is just for it to be more accessible for migrants from countries that aren't Western and Northern Europe. When you have people from Nicaragua and Honduras coming up on our border with Mexico, instead of saying, oh, we can't let them in, yada, 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 I feel like a lot of people don't understand that they're coming up here because of shit that we did. And we're not really doing anything to go in and help the situation. It's kind of, it's a very, it's a very kind of realist international policy theory where it's like, oh, we're not going to do anything in Nicaragua or Honduras because it doesn't affect our national interests. But then they come up to our borders and they say, well, maybe we could do something. I don't know. It's starting to affect our national interests right now. But another kind of more, I guess the correct term is liberal international policy would be, no, let's go into Nicaragua and Honduras and try to fix it so we don't have these waves of mass migration. But when you have all of these refugees coming up to our borders, the term refugee is always going to be debated on what accounts for it. I believe in one thing. People more left of me believe in something different. People more right of me believe something different. But the idea that we need to close and secure our borders, I kind of find that very xenophobic because we only say that in the context of Latin American countries or countries in Africa and the Middle East, referring to refugees who are Muslim.
Right. So, and you brought up a lot of good points there, and I would love to hit on all of them, but I kind of forget what some of them were because you did bring up a lot of good ones. But I think my biggest argument, at least stricter control of the southern border, would be so let's just say you said you can debate what a refugee is. So let's say we all agree on it. Like a refugee is someone who needs help, right? Someone who needs out of the place that they're living in because they are literally in danger by continuing to live there. And there are definitely people coming from the southern border that fit that narrative. But if we want to be equal to all at the same time, like you said, there are people in the Middle East, people in Africa who are in the same exact situation that would love to come to the US, but they can't, right? Because there's an ocean sitting there. So is it really fair to say, no, and hear me out. I'm not talking about the people that,
they can come to the US. That's what I'm saying is that we have more at our southern border because they can get there by land. It's easier. But there's millions of refugees who could come to the US, but the way that the policy to accept a refugee for them from, let's say, Somalia to enter the United States, that process takes years.
Oh, it's horrible. I agree with you on that. We can make it more efficient, but I'm saying that's the process that we have right now, right? So the answer isn't to open the borders. The answer is to fix the process. Now, I would agree Trump hasn't really done anything to improve that process, but at the end of the day,
he's made it. Well, I'm sorry, Tim, but he's made it worse. And
in what way though? Just educate me. This isn't something that I'm overly educated on.
Well,
in terms of
one of the first thing he did was he had the quote unquote Muslim ban that was a ban that wasn't a ban that was like different countries and weird, and it was very inconsistent. But it did make the process a lot harder from people from, I would say, definitely Somalia, the Lake Chad Basin, which is Nigeria, Niger, Northern Cameroon, and Chad, made it impossible for refugees from there to come over, and that's probably one of the most volatile places right now. And so another factor is you have what are called IDPs, internally displaced people, millions upon millions of people who can't even get into a refugee camp to even be identified as refugees. So, and obviously it's not perfect. We can't take in everyone. Every country can't take in everyone. But when we're doing things saying that, oh, like we're not going to be part of these UN coalitions that are going to put more resources towards refugee camps. Oh, we're not going to let in people from a certain country. You're only making the problem worse, because that's just creating more IDPs, because less internally displaced people can be classified as a refugee. And that's just going to create more and more problems. And then we turn around and say, oh, well, terrorism's on the rise in the Lake Chad Basin. And it's like, yeah, no shit, because we're not doing anything to help it, because you're leaving volatile people in that region where if they were identified as refugees and could get to a country, and it's not just US problem, this is a very kind of modern Western country problem, they have nowhere to go. And when you have these radical groups who have control of the region, it's either join them or be killed. Taylor, you're on Tsipolitics. Taylor, how are you?
What's going on? How we doing?
We're doing well, Taylor. What'd you think of the debate?
I mean, it was a disaster for America. Another perfect example that the two-party system has failed everyone. That we have a ridiculous system full of ridiculous people who have no answers for America. And I fucking loved the entire thing as an entertainment standpoint, but it was awful.
Taylor, I actually want to ask you a question because you are a Massachusetts resident. There's a question on our ballot about having a ranked-based voting for. Yep, question number 2. For our state legislature, and I think local elections too. I want to know your opinion on that proposition, because I'm for it, because I do believe it kind of goes against this whole kind of like two-party system, and would kind of encourage more parties, not more parties, but a more variety of candidates, and it would encourage people in our state to actually have to like research candidates too.
100%. I mean, I think I'm worried that it's going to get shot down by the establishment in Massachusetts because we are such a single state system. I mean, we are a blue state that puts up some red governors from here, there. We put up Scott Brown, Mitt Romney, yeah. But we're blue and blue through and through. There isn't anything that we're going to put up that's going to be different from that. Ranked choice is going to be a actual challenge to establishment, because now it's like, well fuck it, like let me throw on that Green Party person first, and let me put Liz Warren second. Let me throw on that Libertarian first and put Shiva third. You know, like
Dr. Shiva.
Love Shiva.
Can you explain the ranked system that you're talking about?
So ranked choice voting, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not a politician. I'm just a voter and a wine drinker. Is you're going to place 1, 2, 3 as on like your form. And then what happens in that form is if your candidate gets a certain amount of electoral votes, their candidate is going to receive a certain level of voting. And so if you put, like, I mean, let's just say it's Jill Stein, Johnson, and Hillary. Let's just do that, because those were like the 3 whatever. So if you went like Stein, Johnson, Hillary, but your state never even voted for Stein. Like nobody even was like, oh, you were the one person who did that. Okay, then your vote would go down to Johnson. And it's like, oh, no, okay, well, now you were the third person who voted for Johnson. So, okay, now your vote's Hillary.
That strikes
And
me as
that-
bullshit. I'll be.
No, but that's kind of the way it is. I'm obviously not right. Like, there's something wrong in there. But that's kind of the way it is. Is like you have to have a certain percent of your demographic get a vote before your vote actually matters for that.
Well, so that's why.
Yeah,
so it's not going to be for national election. It's going to be for
State.
for state elections. It's
Yeah.
how they vote in Australia, and I think
Maine has it. Maine's already got it.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I know in Australia, and they have God knows how many parties in that parliament where there's just 8 candidates, and you just go down the list, and one by one, they're getting chopped. But
So do they only do this for primaries, or do they do it for like general elections and stuff too?
In mass, it's going to be voted for general elections right now. We are
Yes, it's on our
we are
ballot.
voting for ranked choice on our ballot.
But it
Which
wouldn't,
is-
it wouldn't include general elections. Like you wouldn't rank your choices like Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, Biden, because it wouldn't be for general elections.
it would
Like,
not be.
No,
it wouldn't be for federal. It'd just be for state.
state
Okay.
elections.
I was
I
just
might
trying
be-
to figure out because you said Massachusetts is generally a blue state, so I was like, well, does that mean every
I might be
low
wrong, but
percentage vote that doesn't go to Trump just gets swept into Trump? Then I was just confused on how it.
I might be wrong, but I think it might be pushing towards general. I could be totally wrong.
Because I mean,
Could be
like,
totally
like
wrong.
you said, if Massachusetts is a blue state, like that could end up helping out Trump in the long run, or
Well, so-
whatever conservative is running.
Well,
But not even Trump. Just
Or maybe I don't understand how it works.
Third parties could like it pushes people towards that because it takes away that whole stupid narrative of a vote for Joe Johnson is a vote for Biden. It's like no, it's not. It's a vote for Joe Johnson.
Well, Tim, one thing to remember is important is that say it was for federal, and let's say it was Hillary, Stein, Johnson, Trump. Like Trump could be the last choice. So
Yeah.
so let's say your ballot is Stein, Johnson, Hillary, Trump. Then if Stein and Johnson get wiped away, then your vote is for Hillary. The only way it would be for
Okay.
Trump would be if you said, I
If Trump
cannot
was the
have
number.
Hillary if you put Trump at
Okay.
like 3 or like
I thought it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were ranking them 1 through 4. I thought you were just saying like
Yeah.
it was general votes, and then like the third, basically like they took the 2 highest candidates, and the bottom 2 got bumped up. I was like, that's bullshit. You're just feeding
No.
votes to
yeah,
someone
no.
that doesn't-
It's like it's
Okay.
it's
So, yeah,
literally
that
it's
makes
literally
sense.
like an FBS power ranking. Like
Okay.
we're deciding the
This is-
playoff.
This is how we voted in my Jewish youth group for regional board, and I gotta say it's really, really good. And it got
No,
me
yeah.
elected
If
to
you
regional
if you
board.
personally are ranking them 1 through 4, whatever it is, then that makes sense. I thought it
Yeah.
was just you voted for one, and the lowest percentages got bumped into other people's, and I was like,
No. And so instead of having just like, are you red, are you blue, are you whatever, every single vote, every single ballot has a 1, 2, 3, 4.
okay.
So it's like it changes it because it takes away the 2-party system. And
Okay.
I'm blown away that Massachusetts is even accepting this as a statewide vote. I cannot believe this because Massachusetts is not a 2-party system. We are not a 2-party system.
Yeah.
We are a 1-party system. So I'm exceptionally happy that it's coming up for vote, and I'm intrigued how it's going to be perceived in Massachusetts.
Does Taylor think that Herb Chambers is going to be able to hack into my car?
I haven't really even got through the question 1 question.
Question 1
I-
makes no sense. I'm pretty
I
sure Herb
still don't
Chambers is
understand it.
leading that attack thing where it's like your private mechanic's going to open your garage and break into your home, and I'm like, I don't think he's going to do that. The other
Yeah.
4 people in the Zoom have no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
I have no idea what the question. I don't.
We
have
barely know
no
what we're talking
idea
about.
what question
It's a
1
weird
is.
question.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
read
weird
it like
question.
10 times, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I voting on?
I had the
anyone-
fucking little ballot question thing, and I've read it. I'm like flipping through the pages. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I'm on Ballotpedia, and I'm like, this still doesn't make sense. For all the this is good for all our Massachusetts listeners who also don't know what question 1 is, who might say, merely give us some insight to question 1. We're with you. We have no fucking clue.
No idea.
But I do want to say though, like, if we're all kind of digging ranked based voting, like, are there 7 people in a Zoom right now with very different political views or kind of
That agree?
something?
That agree? Yeah, thumbs up.
We
for
agree.
me.
Jacob, do you agree?
I definitely stand out from at least 4 of you. So,
Well, I was just gonna say, so I'm from Colorado, and in Colorado, how it works now is that if you are registered independent, you receive both ballots in the mail for primaries. What happens is, because obviously I'm from Colorado, but I go to school in Arizona, so I do a mail-in vote. So how it works for us now is that as an independent, we can vote for both parties in the primaries, which in a lot of states you cannot do. But how it works is whichever ballot you send in first. So like if I decide to vote Democratic and Republican, whichever ballot is received first is the ballot that counts. So obviously you can't count both ballots, but they only receive one ballot, and whichever one is received first, that's the ballot that counts. So basically, you get a vote in both primaries, but you just get to pick whichever one you like decide you want more.
How do you know which one goes through? Do you get like a text and it's just like, congratulations, you're a Republican?
Well, they're both sent separately. So like you have to send in the Democratic one separately and the Republican one separately. The way to test that, I guess, would be to send them both back at the same time and just see whichever one the mail likes more. I mean,
what you should do is have a Domino's order, and you put 2 like order. You can track your Domino's order online. So put your ballot in like 2 things of pizza, and then have them like erased to the just be like, someone order a pizza, and it's like, oh, this is Jacob's Democratic primary vote, and then 10 minutes later you'll have the pepperoni, mushroom, and Republican primary vote.
Does the USPS support Trump or do they support Biden? I mean, is it fake news or is it not? I guess we'll find out.
All right.
I gotta pull an Eric Dyer and run to the bathroom real quick.
I can't wait to edit that out. Thank you, Max. Muted.
Fuck Tottenham.
Who's Eric Dyer?
He's a soccer player who had diarrhea at halftime today during a match.
Jesus.
Still recording this. God damn it.
It wasn't halftime. It was halfway through the second half, and he
really?
it off the field.
Oh, that was during the match?
Middle of the second half.
I thought it was during
sprinted
halftime.
Off the field to
And Jose
dunk.
chased him, didn't he?
Yeah, Mourinho chased him.
Yeah.
We call that.
Did
We call
you
that
use the Instagram post after.
Yeah.
No.
in Boston. We call that an Uda pepping.
Can I ask this?
It's an Uda pepping. It's an Uda pepping.
Can I ask this question real quick?
Straight.
I think this debate has made all of us want to drink, but I guess
Nope.
technically moderator, and I was taking notes, that'd be stone cold sober. So let's just go around the room because Taylor, Xander and I know Taylor because we work together at a liquor store. Taylor, what are you drinking tonight? Did you crack open any of the good stuff, or did you crack open the sad stuff?
No. I actually had really good stuff open, but by the time I got to you guys, I got Budweiser open. I had a Olivier Leflevre Maison Vaison white burgundy with some popcorn I made because it was a buttered popcorn, so it was going to be perfect with that. And we drank that while watching one of the most
Just say that
entertaining
your wife's
debates I've ever
pregnant?
seen.
We're
Yeah, my
drinking?
wife- yeah. She can have a glass of wine, bro. What are you, a fucking doctor? Yeah,
No.
she could have a glass of wine. So she had one, and I had the other 3/4 of the bottle, and now here I am drinking what we call the Lord's beer, Budweiser.
Jacob, what are you drinking tonight? I saw you had a little drinky poo going on.
Well, I wanted to go a little strong for the debate, so I started with a couple double shot whiskey sours, and then I have officially switched to Stella because I have a paper to do tomorrow.
Max, Max, what were we sipping on tonight? Or what were we smoking, even that?
I just rolled a few Stogs because I ran out of money and can't afford spirits. But I ditched my preferred cheap ass Moscato to for some Natty Light, and so I've been stomaching that.
So I came in late. Who do you guys think won the debate?
Nobody.
Nobody. The American people lost. We all lost. It was a waste of time.
The
Okay,
people
so
that turned it
I
off,
lost
or the people that
weight,
never
so-
started watching.
Oh, big winners. People who are just like, I don't
The
need to
people that
fucking
never
watch this. It's
started
not going to
watching.
change my mind.
Actually,
So
actually not true. Actually not true. The people that won the debate are the people that are hammered right now. They like can barely talk and can barely walk. Those are the people that won the debate.
The people
win-
who didn't
big
commit
winners-
to a post-debate podcast.
Big winners
Yeah.
are liquor stores.
Big winners are
Yeah.
liquor stores.
Liquor stores are big winners.
We've been big winners the whole time through. No, that's funny because I came in being like, I hated the entire thing. I didn't think anyone won. So I'm glad I'm in the consensus.
I wrote a couple notes. I truly enjoyed Biden saying, quote, get out of the sand trap from your golf course and get into the Oval Office, and him calling China has had the, quote, art of the steal, and then also him saying that there needs to be more forest management when he's cut the National Park Service by 40%.
Thank
Those are
you.
my highlights.
Thank you.
I liked him. I liked him referring to the coronavirus multiple times as the China plague. I
That was
really
awesome.
liked him. I really liked him saying that part.
Wait, I really also liked the fact that the odds makers had Will Biden say Scranton, Pennsylvania, and he said it twice.
What?
No,
Like
no.
19 times. Like 19 times.
But
He says so many times.
But that's the thing. So the odds makers, it would, what did he say first? Come on, man, or Scranton minus 120. And he didn't do a full come on, man. He said,
Shut
come
up, man.
on, shut up, man. So like, I'm wondering, we got to go to Vegas to see if that counts. On my Instagram polls, 69% of the responders said that was going to be it, while 31% said Scranton. So there's a big debate
Nice.
there. Trump walking up to the podium wearing a mask, big doggy plus 275. Only 6% of Sip Talk followers said that was going to happen. The other 94% were big winners. And I still need to check the fact checks for the over under, but I'm pretty sure Trump got the over 5.5. I think Biden got the over 5.5. Trump said fake news first before he said China virus. I only did they even have water? Did they take drinks of water?
No,
I didn't see it.
So I didn't see it either. So I think that one was a
They-
push because it was
I
first
think
drink
they,
of
yeah,
water.
I think they cut that. They must have cut that. They didn't
All right,
show
so
it.
that's going to be a push. So I think I might have nailed my parlay if that's a push. I just got to check the fact checks.
They couldn't drink any water because none of them could ever shut up from talking.
They would still try to talk drinking water.
Honestly,
Seriously.
though, this is my opinion on the debate. The first person to stop talking lost.
the one debate where if you shut up, the other guy lost. If Trump let Biden talk for 5 minutes a subject, Biden would have talked about dinosaurs and fucking rainbows all day long. And if Biden let Trump talk, he would have just said the word huge and the best and all day long going on. Like, all you had to do this debate was say nothing.
That's why I
Yep,
said going
I
into it,
agree.
all Biden had to do was say, "Are you done
Nothing.
yet?" Just say, "Are you done yet?" the entire time, and people have been like, "Wow, this Trump dude's a nut."
And neither of them could
why
do
we
it.
need the ranking system. This is why we need the ranking system. The ranking system allows us to rank, and so we can actually elect the lesser of two evils compared by the country.
Because you're gonna have Bill Weld standing at the end going, "Chris, can I get a question?" "Well, sure, here you are." And Bill Weld would knock it out of the park because I love our governor from the 90s.
I fucking love Bill Weld. That motherfucker jumped in the goddamn Charles River because everyone said, "Hey, the Charles River is polluted." He said, "No, it's not." And they said, "How do you know it's not polluted?" He said, "Well," and he dropped his drawers and he jumped in the river. That's a politician right there, man.
That's a man of the people.
Joe Biden said something about how one of Trump's ex colleagues or whatever said something about how he said something about how the riots are like supporting Trump. Basically, the riots are a good thing for his party. Joe Biden said that. Then he said a name. So I looked at my girlfriend. I said,
Kellyanne Conway.
"Yeah." So I
He
looked at
said,
my
"I hope he
girlfriend.
nailed that."
Cool. So I looked at my girlfriend and said, "Go to her Twitter right now. Go to her Twitter. She's gonna be the one saying that's bullshit." I never said that.
Well, Kellyanne Conway's husband is the one behind the Lincoln Projects. Her husband is just like, Kelly, let it go. Let it go.
That must be the best, worst marriage in America, right? Like, do you think they just like hate fuck each other?
And the
every night?
16-year-old's like, my mom's a whack job.
Like they are just like the most insane couple in America, right? Like, she is full blown Trump, and he is full blown anti-Trump, and they're still married. And now she left though, so like I don't know what's going on. Maybe he stopped blowing the back out like he was, but like that must have been the craziest marriage, and like they must have the best sex ever, the best sex.
All right. Here's my question for all of you. What would you do if your name got name dropped in a political debate like that?
If Joe Biden said, yeah, someone from the media said you're doing a terrible job. Who? Pete Sippis, Sip Talk.
But seriously, what would you do if you got name dropped during a political debate like that on national TV?
Listen up, Jack. Sippy over here says that you're full of melons.
I think
that would be my pinned tweet for the rest of my life.
No, I would just print the entire debate and just be like, these guys are assholes. They have no idea what they're talking about.
All right, guys, this has gone over an hour.
Oh, Tim said he's about to jump back in. His girlfriend's asleep.
Oh, wait, what? No, I
wait.
got to end this. I need to do homework and sleep. Oh, Jesus Christ, Tim's back.
Pete,
What?
can I when this is over? Can I send you off by playing the Arthur theme song on the melodica?
No, I don't want you playing the Arthur theme song on the melodica. It's super loud, and you like pierce my eardrum at Sean's. How do we even get here? I'm Pete Sippis. This is Sip Talk. Thanks for listening.